Hey everyone, welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving into the world of IPOs.
IPOs, yeah. Always an exciting time.
Definitely exciting. We've got this draft red herring prospectus,
Okay.
and it's for a solar energy company. They're looking to make it big, really expand.
So they've got big plans, huh? What's the strategy?
That's the interesting part. Right off the bat, you can tell they're serious, not messing around. They're already a big deal in the solar module market.
Okay, so they're already established.
But they're going for like total control raw materials all the way to those panels you see on rooftops.
Going for that vertical integration. Smart move.
Yeah, it's like they're building their own solar empire. But here's what really caught my eye, their focus on the U.S. market.
Interesting. A lot of companies are looking at the U.S. right now.
And they're not just testing the waters, they're going all in. There's even talk of this massive 5 GW solar cell facility in the U.S.
Wow, that's a bold move.
Yes.
They're definitely thinking long-term with that kind of investment.
It's a power play, for sure. And it makes sense, right? Tap into a booming market, and on top of that, you've got those sweet, sweet incentives from the Inflation Reduction Act.
Yeah, those incentives are a game changer.
Speaking of game changers, let's talk financials. Their revenue growth, impressive, especially those direct sales to like the big utility companies.
Gotta love those big contracts.
Right. But they're not putting all their eggs in one basket, are they?
Never a good idea to put all your eggs in one basket. Diversification is key.
Exactly. And they seem to get that. They're building up this network of franchisees, too, which seems smart for reaching those smaller customers, residential, small businesses, that sort of thing.
Makes sense. You want that local presence, someone on the ground who understands the market.
It's all about that personal touch. But I've got to wonder, managing a franchise network across India, that's got to come with its own set of headaches, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a juggling act, keeping everyone happy and making sure quality stays consistent.
Sounds like a full-time job.
Well, they've got this program, Waaree Prime, and it seems to be doing the trick.
Waaree Prime. Tell me more.
So it's more than just, handing someone a manual and saying, good luck. They're really invested in these franchisees, providing training, marketing help, even financing options.
So it's like a support system helping them succeed.
Exactly. And they've got incentives built in to encourage performance. Smart move, really.
But even with the best laid plans, there are always challenges. What keeps the executives up at night? What are the potential pitfalls they're worried about?
Well, they're pretty upfront about the risks. Competition, for one, the solar market is getting crowded, and everyone wants a piece of the action.
Makes sense. It's a hot industry right now.
And then there are the usual suspects, raw material prices. Those can be unpredictable.
Oh, for sure. And they rely on those global supply chains, too. Anything disrupts that.
It can throw a real wrench in the works.
Exactly. And they even mentioned, and this kind of surprised me, a theft of raw materials at one of their plants.
Really? I hadn't noticed that detail.
Yeah, tucked away in there. It makes you realize that even with big dreams, real-world problems can pop up.
Always good to be reminded of that.
For sure. But you know what? We've only scratched the surface of this draft red herring prospectus.
Yeah, there's a lot more to uncover.
In our next segment, we're digging deeper into their manufacturing, the tech they're using, and their master plan for taking over the global solar market. It's going to be good.
All right, ready to dive back into the solar-powered deep end.
Ready as ever.
Yeah.
So we've got this company, big dreams, aiming for global domination. But how do they actually plan to, make all those solar panels?
That's where the rubber meets the road, right? And their manufacturing strategy, it's impressive. They're building this huge facility in Odisha.
We saw that 6 GGRE of capacity, something like that.
Yeah, 6 GW. And it's not just about size, it's about what they're putting in it. All geared towards these high-efficiency modules, the kind everyone wants.
High efficiency? So we're talking about squeezing every last drop of energy from the sun?
Exactly. And they're using some pretty cool technology to do it multicrystalline, monocrystalline, even TOPCon.
Okay, hold on. Now you're just using big words to sound smart.
All right, fair enough. But it's not as complicated as it sounds. Think of it like different levels of solar panels. Multicrystalline, that's your workhorse. Reliable, gets the job done.
Got it. The trusty pickup truck of the solar world.
Exactly. Then you've got monocrystalline, a step up in efficiency, better in low light conditions, kind of like the luxury sedan.
Okay, I'm following. Fancier, more efficient.
And then there's TOPCon, their top of the line model, maximum efficiency, squeezing every last photon out of the sun.
All right, so that's the solar Ferrari then, right?
You got it. They're covering all the bases, offering something for everyone.
Smart strategy. But all this fancy tech, it's got to be expensive. Why go to all that trouble?
Because efficiency translates to savings, my friend. More efficient panels mean you need fewer panels to generate the same amount of power, less space, lower costs.
Makes sense. So it's good for the planet and good for business. Two birds, one stone. But let's talk about the people actually installing these panels, their franchise network. How do you even begin to manage a network like that, especially across a country as big as India?
That's where this Waaree Prime program comes into play.
Waaree Prime. We touched on it earlier, but give me the details.
So it's like their secret weapon for building a strong franchise network. It's not just about signing people up, it's about setting them up for success.
So like hand-holding.
Not exactly hand-holding, but close. They provide training, marketing support, even help with financing. They're really invested in making sure their franchisees thrive.
That's actually pretty cool. Empowering the little guy. But let's be real, global domination. There's some serious competition out there.
Oh, absolutely. They acknowledge that in the document. It's a tough market, lots of big players, everyone wants a piece of the pie.
So what makes them think they can stand out? What's their edge?
A few things. First, experience. They've cut their teeth in the Indian market, which is no walk in the park. They've learned to adapt, to compete, to win.
Battle-tested, you could say.
Exactly. And then there's the vertical integration. They control the whole process, from raw materials to the final product. That gives them a cost advantage plus flexibility that other companies just don't have.
So they're agile, they can respond to changes in the market quickly. Interesting. But all this expansion, this technological arms race, it's got to be putting a strain on their finances, right?
You'd think so, but their financials actually look pretty solid. They've been profitable consistently, which is a good sign.
Wow, so they're not just growing, they're growing profitably. That's impressive.
Right. But of course, no business is without risks. They're exposed to the usual suspects, fluctuations in raw material prices, changes in government policy.
The things they can't really control.
Exactly. But what I found really interesting, and this speaks to their long-term vision, is their commitment to research and development. They're not just content with where solar is today, they're looking to the future.
What do you mean? What are they doing?
They're investing in things like perovskite solar cells, which have the potential to be even cheaper and more efficient than what we have now.
Perovskite. Sounds like something out of Star Trek.
I know, right? But it's a real thing, and it has the potential to revolutionize the solar industry.
So they're betting on the future of solar, even while they're dominating the present. Pretty bold.
Absolutely. But let's not forget, this Draft Red Herring Prospectus, it's not just a science fiction novel, it's a financial document. Investors need cold, hard facts.
So what are the key takeaways? What should investors be thinking about?
Well, I think the big takeaway is this company is the real deal. They've got the experience, the technology, the vision, and they're operating in a market that's just going to keep growing.
They're in the right place at the right time with the right tools.
Exactly. But they're not just riding a wave, they're actively shaping the future of the industry. And that's exciting.
It definitely is. Now let's talk about the IPO itself. How much are they looking to raise? What are the risks? And is this a good bet for investors? We'll tackle all that after a quick break. All right, let's talk IPO. It's the moment of truth.
Time to put our investor hats on.
Exactly. So how much money are they trying to raise with this whole thing?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Or, knowing this industry, maybe the billion-dollar question. And the Draft Red Herring Prospectus, it's surprisingly quiet on that front.
Yeah, they don't come right out and say it, do they?
Nope, it's all part of the game. They lay out their plans, show off their financials, and then it's like a silent auction. Big investors size each other up, and the final price tag emerges through this process called book betting.
Sounds intense.
Uh-huh.
But they do tell us how they're planning to spend the money, right?
Oh, absolutely. And not surprisingly, a big chunk of it is going towards that mega factory we talked about, the one in Odisha. We're talking land, buildings, equipment. It's a massive undertaking.
Makes sense. That kind of facility doesn't come cheap.
Not at all. But it's not just the big stuff. They've also budgeted for things like working capital, day-to-day expenses, even those pesky fees that come with launching an IPO.
Like planning a wedding, right? Always those hidden costs that pop up.
Exactly. Speaking of things that can pop up unexpectedly, let's talk risk. We've touched on some of the challenges, but for someone thinking about investing, What are the big red flags? What should they be watching out for?
Yeah, because no investment is foolproof.
Right. And they're very open about the competitive landscape. The solar industry is hot right now, which is exciting, but also means lots of companies vying for market share.
So it's a crowded playing field.
Exactly. And then there are the supply chain issues everyone's talking about. They need those raw materials, the silicon, the silver, everything. Any disruption, whether it's a natural disaster, trade war, who knows, another pandemic even, could really throw a wrench in things.
That's a good point. They're reliant on a lot of factors outside of their control.
Exactly. And we can't forget about government policies, those incentives that make U.S. manufacturing so attractive right now. Those could change depending on the political winds.
That's always a risk.
Yeah.
So it sounds like there are definitely things to consider before jumping in. But let's end on a positive note. For someone who's been following along, what makes this IPO stand out? Why should they be excited?
Well, you have to admit, they've got a lot going for them. They've got the experience, the technology, the vision. And they're operating in a market that's only going to become more important in the years to come.
It's a good time to be in the solar business.
For sure. But, as always, we encourage everyone to do their own research, read the Draft Red Herring Prospectus, talk to a financial advisor, and make an informed decision.
Couldn't agree more. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing.
Absolutely.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of IPOs and this ambitious solar company.
Until next time.
Remember, the future is bright, especially if you've got solar panels.